1, 2, 3, go.
Exactly. And then there's Roblox.
1, 2, 3, go.
इतनी शांति है यार, चलेगा लो।
भाई नजर ना लगाओ, खींचो.
अरे भैया क्या शॉट है।
Has revealed alarming.
आह,
1, 2, 3, go. So this brings us to a fundamental ethical question, Pratik. Why are these tech companies doing this? Are they simply oblivious to the harm, or there's something more cynical?
The short answer is
So basically, it's a sophisticated form of monetization that can feel like gambling for children without even realizing.
literally child gambling is how one study puts it. While it's free to play, its revenue model generates billions of dollars. It's heavily reliant on in game purchases using their own virtual currency called Robux.
Welcome back to Pickle Insights Life Unlocked. I'm Dr. Priyank Gupta, your friendly neighborhood GP.
Hi, I'm Pratik Nayak, software engineer, and today we are at Organ Pipes National Park in Victoria.
Before we dive into today's topic, it's important to note that whatever we present on our channel, Pickle Insights, is only for general educational and discussion purposes.
Absolutely. We encourage you to use your critical thinking, do your research, consult your professional medical professionals, and seek their advice. This is for entertainment and discussion purposes only.
With that in mind, let's revisit where we left off. In our last episode, The Unseen Wounds, we talked about the impact of screen overuse on our brain, bodies, and family bonds. We talked about the developmental neuroplasticity and also the very design of these platforms on how persuasive they are and how they were affecting us.
We explored some data on diminishing language skills, rising obesity, mental health correlations, especially in our kids. But today we are going to face the uncomfortable truth that this isn't accidental. This is by design and impacts all of us, whether we like it or not.
Exactly. The silent epidemic is not confined to a particular demographic. Whether it's a child mesmerized by the bright colors, a teenager seeking social validation, or an adult just caught in endless news feeds, these designs are meant to keep you hooked and keep you engaged for a long time without you knowing.
And today we are pulling back the curtain even further. We are going to name names of platforms and content creators that are particularly impactful and look at the motivation behind these designs and what we are doing globally and here in Australia to push back. This is the architects of attention, profit, predation, and protection.
Absolutely. But before we go there, please don't forget to comment. Let us know where you're watching us from, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Pratik, before we dive into the why, I want to re-emphasize that while focus most time falls to the children, the problem of screen overuse and its detrimental effect is actually truly universal across all age groups.
That's absolutely correct. As a tech guy, I see this problem across all age groups, whether it's kids struggling with focus or adults checking their phone during conversation or feeling the urge to scroll during downtime, even using their phones on the porcelain throne.
A systemic review analyzing studies, including diverse population, highlighted that excessive screen time is a significant predictor of various health conditions, including mental health, sleep, and physical activities. They found that the problem lasted across all age groups, the toddlers, babies, working adults, and seniors alike. It affects the basic human psychology.
In our last episode, we touched on algorithms and persuasive design. Today, we are going to take a deeper dive into algorithm itself because that is the real puppet master behind this digital curtain. For our listeners, algorithm isn't a magical or ethereal thing. It's a step-by-step set of rules or instruction that a computers follow to solve a particular problem. In this case, keep you hooked. It's just like a recipe.
A recipe, but to keep us engaged.
Precisely. And in the context of social media and entertainment platform, this recipe gets very complex and it's always evolving. They analyze billions of data points like every scroll, every tap, every like, share, comment, the tone of your comment to predict what content you like most. The goal is to maximize your time on the platform because the more time you spend on the platform, the more ads they can show you, the more data they can collect from you, and the more revenue they can generate from you. It's this sophisticated feedback loop that learns and adapts to your unique psychology, making the content feed highly personalized and frankly difficult to disengage from.
And this algorithm isn't just specifically targeting adults. Children aren't spared, often with the content which seems innocuous on the surface.
Absolutely. We'll talk about Cocomelon and Roblox later, but let's consider the unique and devastating impact on teenagers. Research shows a clear link between social media and rising mental health issues.
Reported by Australian Psychological Society, psychologists are seeing rise in mental health disorders, self-harm and suicide rate among Australian teens linked directly to these social media platforms.
Exactly, the like button in particular is a very big contributing factor. Teens nowadays base their entire self worth on number of likes they receive, and if they don't get this instant approval, a feeling of rejection and inadequacy seeps in.
Absolutely, it becomes a social validation loop that taps onto the same part of the brain linked to addiction, like gambling.
That's deeply concerning.
And this isn't just anecdotal. Studies like in BMC Public Health Journal and also done by Columbia University, which looked at the problematic screen use in adolescents and teens, they found that people who spend more time on these platforms are likely to experience more anxiety, social isolation, poor self-rated mental health, and even suicidal ideation. Many, particularly those who already suffer from social anxiety, may reduce their face-to-face contact in favor of the online presence. This can further exacerbate feeling of alienation. The culture of comparison where teens often compare themselves to these curated and unrealistic social profiles can increase their feeling of depression, anxiety and poor self-worth.
These insights into teen experiences is critical, but the manipulation starts even younger.
Exactly. Let's talk about some of the well-known YouTube channels. Example, Cocomelon. Many parents see it as harmless educational content. It's topping the streaming charts. But what is the actual underlying mechanism here, Pratik?
That's a $1 million question. It is a masterclass in persuasive design. It employs what we discussed in the last episode, the variable reward schedule, with constantly changing images, bright colors, upbeat sound, and the constant novelty.
Isn't there a European parliamentary question on the series from early 2025, reportedly, where they made these videos to be more addictive by placing two children in front of the screen? And as soon as one of the child looked away, they adjusted the colors and the sound to make it more addictive. This led to the release of stress hormone cortisol along with dopamine, triggering the reward schedule system.
Children become accustomed to constant rewards, potentially impacting brain development by habituating them to rapid external stimulation instead of internally driven engagement.
This can impede the development of critical executive function like self-regulation and focus, which is also concerning for their neuroplastic development, as we talked about in our last episode. It's like training their brain for constant high-impact stimulus.
And then there's Roblox. It isn't just a game, it's a massive platform where users create their own virtual worlds, their own game. While it's free to play, its revenue model generates billions of dollars. It's heavily reliant on in-game purchases using their own virtual currency called Robux. Recent research in University of Sydney found some alarming insights where children struggling immensely with the complex and often deceptive in-game spending features. They find the currency conversations often scary, leading to unintentional overspending.
So basically, it's a sophisticated form of monetization that can feel like gambling for children without even realizing.
Literally, child gambling is how one study puts it. Despite the ban on loot boxes, which came into effect in 2024, Roblox still features random monetized reward schedules, which leads to family financial disappointments. Children are drawn in by the creativity and social connection, but the underlying platform is designed to extract maximum financial advantage, often from the most vulnerable or folks with limited impulse control or financial literacy.
So this brings us to a fundamental ethical question, Pratik. Why are these tech companies doing this? Are they simply oblivious to the harm or there's something more cynical?
The short answer is the current business model of most tech platforms is based on attention and data monetization, and the revenue primarily comes from advertising. Advertisers pay you for eyeballs and engagement. The more time you spend on the platform, the more they can learn about your behavior, your preferences, and the more ads they can show you. And this data collected by the platforms allows them to create hyper targeted ads, which is much more lucrative for the advertisers.
So it's a direct economic incentive. More engagement equals more profit.
Absolutely, and this creates a tension between the moral ground of users' well being versus the financial gains that prioritize attention at all costs. And while many engineers and product managers want to create a positive user experience, but the overriding directive from the top is always growth and revenue.
And when those metrics are tied with very human vulnerabilities we discussed, it results into a very sticky platform, almost irrespective of long-term impacts on mental and physical health.
And it's not necessarily malicious intent, but it's the structural incentive that leads to ethically questionable design choices.
So it's not just a happy accident that these platforms are so captivating. It has a basic understanding of actual human behavior.
Absolutely. It's not guesswork, it's applied behavioral science. All tech companies employ psychologists, economists, and behavioral scientists to drive this behavior. They use principles like operant conditioning, intermittent reinforcement, loss aversion, social proof, and nudging. And as we discussed in the last episode, these are not just design features, these are psychological levers used by the design teams to maximize attention. As BJ Fogg, one of the pioneers in persuasive design, demonstrated, technology can be used to alter what we think and what we do. And the concern is when these powerful design tools are used to exploit vulnerabilities, especially in children, for commercial gain.
It feels like platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, which all started with noble intentions to connect people, now they are something different today. Facebook started with a genuine intention of connecting college students, Instagram for sharing photos, and WhatsApp was a means to make some free calls. They tapped into the basic human requirement of sense of belonging and connection. But as they scaled, the need for revenue grew.
And this is where the shift happened from a means to connection to a platform for advertising and commerce. Your social graphs, your social interests, your friends, your activities all became data points so that these platforms could generate more ads. Features prioritize engagement over genuine connections. The algorithmic feeds show you content to provoke a reaction, not necessarily content from your friends.
Look at games like Zynga's Farmville. They pioneered freemium model and heavily leveraged social connection to drive engagement and microtransactions.
Invite your friends for more lives. Ask your friends for more energy.
Absolutely. These were the early examples of social mechanics weaponized for profit, effectively turning social capital into a revenue stream. But this shift, Pratik, hasn't gone unnoticed by regulators. The sheer power these companies wield and the potential for harm have led to scrutiny. And we now have Online Amendment Act coming up very soon, which we'll be talking more about in our upcoming episode.
It's a clear signal that Australia is attempting to hold platforms accountable for the harm they can cause. And while the challenges are immense, there's an increased awareness and a push to drive accountability through this legislation.
Exactly. And understanding how these platforms really work is the first step towards reclaiming our autonomy and protecting our children and ourselves.
It empowers us to make informed decisions, advocate for greater protection, and push for a digital world that serves humanity rather than shareholders.
And next time, we'll shift gears on Pickle Insights. We will focus on solutions than problems. We will talk about developing digital resilience and how we can safeguard our families and community.
Absolutely. So don't miss out. Join us on Pickle Insights Life Unlocked. And remember to check out all the show notes for the Online Safety Amendment Act and all the references we've talked about in this episode. Lastly, please like, share, and subscribe.
So remember to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Let's keep exploring the big questions together. See you next time.